Welcome back to the DLS Mavs podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Kevin Gray, joined by our All City Network teammate and co-host of the All NBA podcast with this guy, Adam Mares. And he has got a lot to get into today with us here, talking all things Mavericks and Cooper Flagg. He, of course, is ESPN game analyst and studio analyst. Tim Legler. Tim, what's going on?
What's up, man? How you doing, Kev? Good to be with you.
Doing well. Appreciate the time you hanging out with us here on the show today. Before we get into the Mavericks real quick, I want to get to a couple things for you personally because I just saw the other day you're going to be in your first video game with NBA 2K26
Yeah.
as well. How'd that come together? How you feeling about that?
That's cool, man. You talk about one of the coolest opportunities I've had in all my years as a broadcaster. For them to reach out to me a few months ago and tell me they want to be a part of their broadcast crew for this coming season for the 2K26 release. I was thrilled. It's a lot of work. I've been putting in the hours, getting all the voice content they need. It's been an absolute blast. And of course, yesterday was the big official announcement on the part of 2K that I was going to be joining the game, and the feedback's been tremendous, man. So I'm honored that they asked me, and it's just a really cool, fun opportunity.
Well, looking forward to that as we're going to be looking forward to a lot of fun basketball this upcoming season. I bring that up because a new era with NBA 2K26, got a new era for the Dallas Mavericks as well because Cooper Flagg, of course, the number one overall pick for this team. You had a chance to be at Summer League, actually caught up with you at Summer League. You called both of his games there. As we get ready for this season, what did you notice about his game that's not only ready to transfer right now to the league, but will give the Mavericks the opportunity to win some games, especially with him now on this team?
Well, I think one of the things that stood out to me about his game, and it's the first time I saw him in person. So I've become a fan. I've been watching him really since he was probably 14 or 15 years old. And I'm very dialed into the AAU network. So that's where I first heard his name. And you start watching videos on the guy and I became a big fan of his, mainly early on from the combination of size, intensity, and like athleticism. Like those three things combined is like this guy, he's really got it. Now he's got to add polish to his game. But what I saw in Vegas, which I didn't see a lot of because I didn't see him in person when he was at Duke, you could see it a lot better sitting courtside. His ability to handle the ball in like really tight windows, being pressured by really quick guys that are smaller than him, lower to the ground, and yet he was able to handle the ball and change directions right in front of them in a really tight manner by getting the dribble nice and low and able to like escape in either direction. So the pressure, and it was crazy because they picked him up full court. He got trapped. The first time he touched the ball at half court, they ran a blitz at him. I'd never seen that in Summer League before. So, and that was just just a glimpse into the amount of pressure he was going to face. Because I think people wanted to challenge him because Dallas is talking about using him as a ball handler, facilitator, a point forward at times. You've heard a lot of talk about that. And I think there were guys out there and they were saying, hey, you know what? Let's find out what he's got. I'm going to pick him up and see if he can handle my level of speed, my level of athletic ability defensively. And he had no problem with it, man. And even in the first game, he didn't shoot well at all. And there was a big talk about that after the game. And I talked about it because I didn't like the way the ball was coming off his fingertips at all when his release. The ball was rotating sideways a little bit. It seemed like it was coming more off his pinky. And I made a point about that, and a lot of people were talking about that. But despite the shooting performance that night, the fact that he played under that amount of pressure and with just a few minutes left in the game, and he played almost the whole game, had not turned the ball over. That to me was pretty incredible. So the handle, the passing, the intensity, we've all kind of come to know that about him. That's what we always talk about. The handle and the ability to go where he wants on the court against really high-level athletic defenders, that was very impressive to me, and that opened my eyes a little bit to maybe what his upside could ultimately be offensively in this league.
How do you see him fitting into this starting lineup with this team at 18 years of age, won't be 19 until December, a team that obviously still has a lot of expectations even until Kyrie Irving comes back? How does he fit along this group, and what do you think is the best fit for him with what the Mavericks could be putting out there from a lineup standpoint?
I think the first thing that's going to happen, you're going to notice that he's got a major impact defensively. That's going to be from the very beginning. His offense will take longer because I think what's going to happen, with the way that they roll out big lineups, you put AD out there with one of the centers and you've got Cooper Flagg playing the 3 spot. there's a lot of size in that paint. There's a lot of activity down there. So now he's going to be asked to take perimeter jump shots, 3-point shots. Right now, that shot is makeable. It's not going to be consistent. He's going to be challenged to make that shot. That's going to be clearly the biggest area that he needs to find consistency early on to add as much value as he can to their team offensively. But even around that, his ability to run the floor, play in the open floor, advance the ball to him in the open floor. He's very good at taking the ball to the hole inside 35, 40 feet off one or two dribbles, playing through contact, getting to the rim because he's got really deceptive, wiry strength. So in the open floor, he'll have opportunities. In the half court, he'll always get some slash opportunities. Could put it down a little bit. But the big question is going to be, how long does it take him to be a consistent three-point shooter? Because I think that is the spacing component they're going to need offensively from that position if they're going to play two bigs alongside of him.
And you kind of led me to my next question because that's one of the things that we've been discussing about the spacing on the floor, the shot creation, which we'll get to in a second with D'Angelo Russell until Kyrie Irving comes back. Are you concerned about the lack of consistent three-point shooters on this team outside of Klay Thompson, given how big this team plans to play this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, look, you have to be honest about it. It's definitely the area of concern, I think, going into the season is where's that going to come from? Where's the consistency going to come from? Because you look at this league now, those nights of making, 7, 8, 9 threes, you're going to be at a serious deficit in this league because teams are making 15 to 20 regularly. So that trade-off, that deficit you're going to have from the three-point line can't be that glaring. So, yes, it is a concern. And I think part of it is going to be answered by what Cooper Flagg is able to bring. And I'm sure he is spending countless hours between the time I saw him, going on 6 weeks ago now, to even now, and certainly in the time he has remaining before camp starts and into the regular season. And I'm sure that's the biggest emphasis for him is his consistency with his perimeter shot off the catch, being able to shoot it off the dribble, because I think the ball will be in his hands. Guys are going to go under screens on him if he runs ball screen. So his ability to shoot off the dribble is going to be important. It's a big, big, big part of their team's success is going to be his emergence as a three-point shooter. So I think it's fair and reasonable to put that in the uncertain column for the Dallas Mavericks. There's a lot of things I like about their team, certain boxes they're going to check, their length defensively and what they can be with AD, a shot blocker, and then Cooper Flagg, who I think has a chance to be really a high-level defender in this league. Right off the bat, you put those three guys out there together, you're going to notice that. That's check the box. We know that. The other stuff, some of it, I think they're going to be okay. Some of it you put down as uncertain, and I think the three-point shooting is where that would put that.
Before we switch to the defensive side of the ball, how would you attack this offense if you're a coach and you're looking to get after this team defensively? D'Angelo Russell going to be probably the primary point guard until Kyrie Irving comes back. When you look at this offense, how would you go about attacking them defensively, given the big sides that they're going to play with, but also D'Angelo Russell running the point there?
It's going to be tough because you're going to listen. You got to commit bodies to the paint. I mean, this team is difficult the way they're laid out. They got two great rim runners, three if you count AD, but he doesn't do that all the time. He's more of the primary focus. But there's a lot of size in the paint. They're going to pound you in the lane. You got to commit bodies to that. So for me, defensively, when you're playing against this team, it's going to be challenging guys to make shots. D'Angelo Russell as well. He can light it up. And look, by the way, I love the pickup because I think he's a great temporary solution waiting for Kyrie to get back. And it was clear to me by that acquisition, they're not willing to just say, oh, well, you know what? We'll be there next year. Give Kyrie a full year to come back, and you'll hear from us next year right off the season in a certain regard. They're not doing that. They found the best replica they could find, a high-scoring, very capable point guard who can run ball screen, get his own shot. D'Angelo Russell's been doing this league for a long time. So I love that acquisition to sort of keep their head above water waiting for Kyrie. But the challenge, absolutely, defensively, is to protect the rim, protect against all of that size on the offensive glass and the easy stuff they get at the rim, and see how many threes they can make on a given night. And if they make 12 or more on a given night, they might not be a team you can beat.
This is a team that we expect him to be really good defensively this upcoming season. You mentioned Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, Cooper Flagg is a high-level defender as well. How good can this defense be this season, and is it going to be enough to carry them until Kyrie comes back and then try to make a run, given how tough the West is this year?
I mean, I think this on paper, this has the potential to be a top 5 defense in the league. If not, who knows? Maybe they end up number 1 in efficiency and some of the other metrics we look at. There's no doubt they've got the potential to do that. I think the key is going to be, can you play the size and cover the 3-point line at the same time? I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for them. And I think Cooper Flagg is a big part of that because he's going to be a big 3. And he's a guy that covers a lot of ground defensively. One of the things I noticed in Vegas as well is not just, athletically and from a foot speed standpoint, he does things defensively. His anticipation, feel for the game, the way he sees it off the ball defensively, his communication off the ball. He's just a well-taught defensive player that grasps team concept. So I think that they are going to be able to have enough quickness on the floor along with their size to be able to cover the 3-point line. Look, everything's a work in progress, and you don't want to be playing your best defense in October, November. You want to peak after the All-Star game. And I think this team eventually, when they're whole, will have a chance to be, as I said, top 5 defensive metrics in the league. I do believe that.
Last couple before we get you out of here. Where does this team fit in the West, given how difficult it's going to be with Oklahoma City as the defending champ? Obviously, Denver's improved. Houston's got Kevin Durant now, Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're still right there. The Clippers made some improvements as well. Where do the Mavericks fit in this tough Western Conference this season?
And, well, a lot of that's going to hinge on when Kyrie comes back, what Kyrie looks like, how long, is it until we see him, and what does he look like when we see him? He's a guy that relies heavily on change of direction and acceleration, right? I mean, he's a smaller guard. He relies on that. And speaking from experience, I wasn't the athlete that Kyrie Irving was. I was a different type of game. But I can just tell you that it takes time when you come back from an ACL reconstruction to feel totally confident that you can go full tilt with reckless abandon, making every cut you want to make without any thought process in your mind that you could get hurt again. It just takes time. So I don't know if we see Kyrie back to the 100% version of himself that we saw before the injury until the following season. So a lot of what you just asked me hinges on that. But look, you just said it. All these teams got better. You can make a really strong argument. OKC, look, they're defending champs. Can you make the argument they got better? I think they're a year more mature, and they're certainly going to be more confident than they've been. So just from that standpoint alone, you can make that argument. Houston obviously adds Kevin Durant. Lakers now the first full season with Luka and LeBron. They didn't get much time together a year ago. Luka, his commitment in the offseason, we've seen the videos, we've seen the pictures, slimmed down, looks in better shape, looks very motivated. Let's see what a full season looks like for those two guys. I love what Denver did this offseason. The Clippers got better. Minnesota didn't really do a whole lot. Golden State, again, full season with Jimmy Butler, not just a half a year, so more time under his belt with that group. So you've got, a lot of teams making a case that they're better. And then you got teams that even below the play-in line. What's San Antonio look like this year with their additions? Sure. Top pick, Wembanyama coming back, assuming he's got health. You added De'Aaron Fox. Now he'll be there for the entire season. So, it's loaded. It's tough. It's very difficult to exactly place where I would put Dallas with all of these changes and all these teams making improvements. But I do think fully healthy with Kyrie back, Dallas is very heavily in the mix. It's just a matter of when that's going to be. Is that going to be at some point this season, or will we have to wait a year?
Does this team go as far as Anthony Davis can take them?
I think this team this year goes as far as that would be the headline, Anthony Davis. It's also going to be heavily dependent on how quick Cooper Flagg can get really comfortable as, a high-level talent, a highly productive guy in this league. Maybe it's not at all this year. We'll see. Maybe he's very inconsistent this year with his scoring. But you never know. He could also be one of those guys that gets it quickly and has a massive impact on winning right away. So we got to wait and see what that looks like. And then the final piece is Kyrie. When and how? That's what we're waiting to see about Kyrie Irving. But Anthony Davis is the headliner for sure.
Would not be remiss if I did not congratulate you. Obviously, we've heard the news that you will be a part of the NBA Finals broadcast alongside the great Mike Breen and, of course, Richard Jefferson. Just your initial thoughts on that and what that means for you as far as moving into that position there.
Well, I'm just honored that that I'm in this position, man. This is a lot of years of work went into this. I just finished my 24th year at ESPN, and you feel like every year, you're just doing yeah, a lot of things are out of your control. You show up, you try to provide consistency and energy every day and insight, and you just hope that eventually everything's going to fall into place the way that it's supposed to. And so I'm just honored that it worked out the way that it did. I'm honored to be asked. I'm honored to work with Mike and Richard. Richard and I have done a lot of studio work together. We've never called a game together. Really looking forward to that. I've called games with Mike Breen. He's a friend. He's a guy I'm really, I have so much respect for and admiration as a legend in this game, as a play-by-play man. So our goal is to mesh as a unit and hopefully give everybody a great broadcast. And I can't wait to get started. Probably going to see my first action with those guys at some point in the preseason, get our reps in, and hopefully just get better and better as the season goes and build up toward a great playoff run.
Well, hopefully we may see you in Las Vegas when the Mavericks take on the Lakers in October, mid-October, at T-Mobile Arena. So, on behalf of us here at Dlls Sports and Dlls Mavs, congratulations. That is awesome, and look forward to your coverage all season when it comes to not just us, but of course with ESPN. So we appreciate your time, man. As always.
Appreciate it, Kev. Anytime, man. Look forward to talking to you throughout the year.
That's our guy, Tim Legler, of course, is part of the All City Network. You can find him hosting the All NBA podcast with his co-host, Adam Mares, and friend of the Dlls Mavs here on Dlls Sports. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.